What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the all-new 2024 Ford Ranger to the all-new 2024 Toyota Tacoma. So underneath the hood of the all-new Ford Ranger, the standard engine is a 2.3 liter inline 4-cylinder EcoBoost motor. This has 270 horsepower with 310 pound-feet of torque. Max towing capacity is also 7,500 pounds. This truck has a 10-speed automatic transmission. 4-wheel drive is available. It also runs on an 18-gallon fuel tank, and ground clearance is about 9.3 inches. Now it's also worth mentioning you can get a 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6 with 315 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Or if you opt for the Ford Ranger Raptor, you can get a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 with 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Underneath the hood of the 2024 Toyota Tacoma, the standard engine is a 2.4-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It has 278 horsepower with 317 pound-feet of torque. Max towing capacity is 6,300 pounds. Has an 8-speed automatic transmission. 4-wheel drive, of course, is available. This truck also runs on an 18.2-gallon fuel tank, and it has 11 inches of ground clearance. Now it's also worth mentioning you can opt this engine with the hybrid system, which bumps power to 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. As far as some capacities go, the Ford Ranger is about 4,400 pounds, payload capacity is 1,700 pounds, the bed length is 59.6 inches, the bed height is 20.8 inches, and then the width between these fender liners is going to be 48.2 inches. This truck is also going to have a tape measure on the back. You can install C-clamps and use this as a workbench. There's also going to be power outlets on the far side, and overall, not a bad bed for this truck. As far as capacities for the Toyota Tacoma, curb weight is around 4,600 pounds, payload capacity is 1,600 pounds, the bed depth is 21.2 inches, the wheel well width is going to be 44.7 inches, and this bed's length is 60.3 inches. You will see the spray and bed liner, LED lights, and then sliders on all three of these sides. You can also see a hook in each corner, and then a very lightweight tailgate. And then taking a look at the exterior styling with the all-new 2024 Ford Ranger. Of course, looks are subjective. This has a really good style to it. It looks like a Ford truck for sure. You got the nice C-shape on the LED headlights. Very nice grille, all integrated. I love how it flows towards those headlights. Nice mesh with your Ford badge, some contrast, a large opening for that intercooler down below. You can see LED fog lights, functional opening for a little bit better aerodynamics. Nice sharp lines along the hood, rugged all-terrain tires, your XLT badge, and then you can just see a nice side profile. It looks similar to the old Ranger, however it definitely looks a little bit more sporty, much more up to date. Great proportions with the full crew cab. LED taillights. You do see halogen bulbs though for the turn signal and reverse light. Ranger is stamped into it. Parking sensors. Of course, there are several different options and trim levels. You can get a Lariat, the Raptor, the Sport trim, 4-wheel drive, and then a power sliding rear glass. And then moving on to the Toyota Tacoma's exterior styling. I do love how bold it looks with all these sharp angles. It looks like a modern Toyota Tacoma, so I think they did do a fantastic job with the newest design. Subjective, of course, but I think it does come together very well. You can see the body-colored fender flares. Really sharp lines throughout the side profile, just like we see up in front. It just comes together great. It's a really good looking truck. In back, you got nice contours, LED taillights, more body colored accents. Tacoma is stamped into it, nice contours throughout the tailgate. And then there's even a nice spoiler design for the cab. So can't complain at all for the newest generation Tacoma. Certainly a sporty and rugged off-road truck. Now keep in mind this particular truck is $39,000 and it is a rear-wheel drive XLT, so not quite a top-of-the-line truck, more of the middle of the road. You're going to see on the door panel you have a lot of black plastic, this vinyl material with some padding for your armrests, all of those controls. We do have a turnkey ignition. There are power controls, however, on the side of the seats. All the cloth, cool fabric design throughout it. So good look overall. You can see the black leather on the steering wheel. We have headlight controls down below. This could be storage, however it is absolutely tiny, so don't know if that's just more design or storage. But if we hop inside and go ahead and fire up the 2.3 liter, you can see the two screens turning on. Closing the door. So center screen for the Ford Ranger, this vertical design that you've seen on a lot of other new Fords. And a look at the dashboard. This does look very nice. It's not just a tablet stuck on, so it is integrated very well, which is a big plus. You can see the full screen navigation system. There are climate controls in the screen. However, you do have all these physical controls, which are actually really easy to use. So I do like that aspect. Fan speed as well. Of course, everything pops up. And then on here, you have your home icon with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You have a ton of different settings you're able to adjust. And then the camera system, this one specifically, just has the rear view with your sensors. So I do like this screen a lot. I think it's very intuitive. It looks great. The gauge cluster is fully digital, and you have the controls on this side, and you can configure quite a lot. So basically everything you're used to seeing in other Fords, you will have that can pop up. You can have a few gauges and things like that. Hitting the menu icon, we have a few more items that are all gonna pop up. And then there are drive modes located down here. We do have a rear locking differential, which is a good touch, but then there's drive modes as well. You can easily cycle through. So I think overall the interior does look good on this new Ford Ranger. I like the air vents. They have a cool design to them. You have some texture on that as well. Really can't complain. It's not crazy fancy. However, sub 40 grand, that's pretty affordable. There's wireless phone charging, a little bit of storage. I like this, a great spot to put your cell phone in the upright position. Maybe if you're not connected to the Bluetooth or something, you can use that as nav. Storage here, kind of tiny storage here once again, which is a little interesting. However, there's also more storage under here. And then of course, we have a good sized glove box. Armrest as well, opens nicely. A lot of space in here. So not bad, nice interior. Sunglass holder up on top, dome lights, and your mirror, and just a decent layout. Now this particular truck is $48,000. It is the TRD Sport 4x4, so it is closer to a top level truck, basically aside from a premium package. So this one is nicely equipped, still at least under 50 grand. We do have a cloth interior for this truck, and then the white accent color, which is something you can adjust. There are some plastics throughout the door. You do have some padding for the armrest. Nice grab handle, lots of storage throughout that door. Manual controls for the seats, however, you do have powered lumbar. These seats do have a very large bolster on them, so they give you pretty good support. Very simple, nice white stitching. And then if we hop inside, we do have the push button ignition. Foot on the brake. We can fire up the engine. And you're gonna see the LCD gauge cluster screen along with a massive screen right in the center in the horizontal orientation. On the gauge cluster, has a pretty good look. It's not really all too configurable. You can basically scroll left and right and kind of just change up a few things you're gonna see. You can toggle through settings and adjust a few things. So it's not the most configurable screen, however, it really does give you everything you're gonna need. Nice design on the steering wheel with, of course, all of your cruise control settings, Bluetooth, things like that. I do like the dashboard layout. I think it has a lot of cool contours. It's very bold looking. You do have extra storage space all up here. Tacoma written out with that color contrast. And then for the screen, nice size to it. You're gonna have that full screen nav, kind of anything you would expect from your typical Toyota. So there's not a million things in this screen. However, it is ultra simple. Nothing really too crazy to it. So I like it overall, just nothing too extra fancy. It is more of that tablet style stuck on. However, I do think it looks pretty cool. And we do have physical climate controls. So you can easily adjust your temperature. You have fan speed on the other side. Then you can toggle all of your modes, air conditioning. So Toyota definitely kept this very simple. Volume right in the center. We do have wireless phone charging here with plugs, nice amounts of storage. You can also see a cool grab handle. 4-wheel drive select is down below. And then we have drive modes. So really just 3 basic drive modes on here. However, different trim levels, you can get more off-road capabilities. You have some blinks, and then more storage here, good armrest, good size over here, and then a nice glove box. Sitting now in the back seat with the Ford Ranger. So I'm 5'11". I have a good amount of headroom, as you can tell, and with the driver's seat at my height, I have good knee room and good leg room. Now, there are no air vents in the back of this truck, unfortunately. We do get a little bit of storage, plugs down below with 2 different USBs, and then good armrests on the left and right side. You can pull this center seat down, and you have armrests along with your 2 cup holders. So it's actually not a bad back seat. It doesn't feel cramped. You know, it's a little straight up feeling, but this is actually something you can do with. So not too bad. There are dome lights up here. You're gonna have your grab handles. Of course, they look at all the glass surrounding you. So overall, aside from lack of air vents, this is a pretty comfortable back seat. And then as far as sitting in the back seat with the all-new Toyota Tacoma, I am 5'11". I do have plenty of headroom, which is nice to see. With the driver's seat at my height, pretty good knee room. I'm definitely sitting here pretty comfortably. I feel like the bases of these seats are kind of low, so my legs are a little high. Definitely feel a little small in the back of this truck. So it's not the best in its class. Some are a little better, some are a little bit worse. But you do have, decent armrests on the left side, even though it's hard plastic. Windows are a little small, no climate vents, no armrests, so I'd put this right kind of in the middle. It could be a little bit more roomy, very straight up seat back here. However, it's still gonna get the job done, and you can at least fit without really feeling too cramped. It just does feel a little closed off with small glass and not that many amenities. Now, as far as the functionality of the 2024 Ford Ranger, here is just a look at the rear seats. So one thing nice, you can pull this lever and pull these up, lock them into place, and you do have hidden storage space all underneath. You have these two plastic lined buckets, which are gonna be pretty useful. Then just pull that, get it back down, and then we have a strap over here. We can unlock and pop these forwards. They will fall down with the headrest out of the way, but you're gonna have a carpet lined area and then all carpeting back here with a little bit of storage. However, you can lift up the entire base and you have a lot of storage in here. So I think that is a really good use of space in that plastic liner. And then you can also pull these straps and pop the backs forward. These will fold down flat with the seats out of the way. You're gonna have the carpet for the backing, but there's a ton of more hidden storage. So good use of storage space in the back seat for sure. You got a lot of good power out of that smaller 2.3 liter. I mean, really peppy, right up to 50 miles an hour without even thinking. As far as ride quality, visibility, things like that, you can tell this is not a giant truck. It's no F-150, so it feels really nicely shrinked around you. It's an easy truck to drive. Visibility is all about what you would expect. No complaints there. You can easily see out. The interior, of course, this isn't like the highest trim level or anything. It's nice, it's fine. I wouldn't say it's above and beyond, but of course, a Raptor or a nicely spec'd Lariat, of course, is gonna be nicer. So this one, for being on the more affordable side, under that $40,000 mark, it does feel pretty cool. I like the screen. I think it's cool how it's integrated. It feels like a mini version of what you've seen in other Fords, to where the vertical screen is cool. It's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, especially on the Tacoma, but I like how everything's integrated nicely into this center bezel. It just fits really flush and clean to the dashboard. I like that aspect to it. The 10-speed, I don't really notice a transmission. It's super smooth. It's just kind of driving like normal, basically exactly what you would expect. So not bad. Armrests are in a good place. The fact that this has power seats with the fabric is a nice touch. So pretty comfortable. I don't have any crazy complaints so far. Seems like a very usable truck. The back seat space, great, no complaints aside from lack of air vents, which the Tacoma doesn't have them either. But driving it, it feels nice. It feels kind of everything you would expect. Plenty of power, even from the slower engine. I would love to test out the V6. Hopefully soon we can check that one out. So taking off in the 2024 Toyota Tacoma, one thing I'm noticing, I like the position of the driver's seat. You feel really nice and comfortable in here. A lot of different movements to get this into a comfortable position. And then with this engine, this is the standard engine, it is peppy. I do feel like there's a lot of character to this motor, comparing it to the competitive trucks in this segment. Incredibly quick feeling. I like the power. You hear some good noises, some generic noises from the engine, but you do hear the turbo a little bit. So it does put a smile on my face. I think it just gives you a little bit of character. The drive modes, they definitely make it nice and sporty. In sport mode, the transmission's a little bit more quick to react. And then, of course, eco mode tones it down. I like how simple it is to go between the drive modes. You don't have to cycle through a million. You just click to where you want it, and you're good to go. Transmission also seems to deliver the power well. You can feel the shifting, so it's not like buttery smooth, but I feel like being a truck, you want some feedback. This isn't a minivan. This is still a truck, even though it's kind of the baby size trucks versus the full size. But it drives like a truck, which I think is cool. Toyota is giving the consumer what they want. I think Tacoma buyers like trucks. Obviously, they're used to old school. This is very modern, a lot of modern stuff in it, but it drives the way a truck should. You can feel some bumps. It feels rugged. but it still is comfortable and smooth on the road, good view around. So I feel like there's kind of a good blend. There's like two personalities with the Tacoma, to where if you're just cruising, it is a nice place to be. These seats are very comfortable, great armrests. I mean, I could be in this all day long just running errands, or using this as a utility vehicle, hauling and towing things like that. So I like that aspect, but then again, the off-road capabilities are totally there, the power's there, and there's a little bit more character than some other vehicles. So I like that aspect. Interior use of materials, there's a lot of plastics, which seems like all the trucks honestly in this segment have a lot of plastic. I would like to see more, maybe more premium materials in trucks like these, especially when they're coming close to $50,000, and some of these are $60,000. So they're getting up there in price. However, this one at the price point it's at, I don't feel is too bad. I think under 50 is kind of the sweet spot in something like this. But armrests are in a great position. They are comfortable. The steering wheel feels nice. So ending thoughts comparing the 2024 Ford Ranger to the 2024 Toyota Tacoma. They both have some strengths and weaknesses. It is a little bit harder to get in and out of the Tacoma. Those larger bolsters on the seats make it feel like you kind of got to climb into them more. The Ranger's a little bit easier to get in and out of. I do like the fact that the Ranger offers a 6-cylinder. That is going to be a huge plus for a lot of buyers. However, the hybrid available on the Tacoma does have a lot more power than even a Raptor Ranger. I think the styling on the Tacoma is better. I think it looks a lot cooler. I think the interior looks a lot cooler as well. I like Ford's screens better. I think there's more information. They look really sophisticated. Toyotas are rather simple, but still nice to have a screen. But I think Ford's screen looks better. The interior on the Ford is a little bit more plain, a little bit more basic feeling. Gets the job done. The contours, the shapes, this looks really cool and really new, even though there's a lot of plastics. Backseat space in the Ford Ranger is a little bit better. Both trucks, I really wish there were air vents, but you do have a little bit more comfort in the Ford. And then the bed space is a little larger on this, more towing on the Ford. It's a tough one. I think it really just comes down to drive the specs you like. I think the Ford does offer a little bit better pricing, a little bit more affordable to get into. Aside from the lack of four-wheel drive on the Ranger we're looking at in today's video, it's a big price difference to jump into the Tacoma, even though this does look a little cooler. So price them out. I think option for option, trim for trim, they're pretty close. You can probably get a little lower price on that Ford, but nonetheless, I think it's really going to come down to personal preference. I like the Tacoma better because it looks better. However, I do like quite a lot of the features in the Ford. But there's my take on the all-new Ranger versus the all-new Tacoma. Both trucks are a huge upgrade from the previous gen. Both car companies, I think, are doing a pretty good job with these new midsize, and I think they're both going to sell well and have a lot of owners who really like them. Comment below, what do you guys think of these new trucks? And I'll see you all in the next video.